orcs and dragons and goblins and things. I didn't like the writing, I didn't like the characters, clearly we don't get on, we don't vibe. It doesn't happen. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I haven't really done many tag videos before, but ages and ages ago my friend Tati tagged me in the Anti-TBR tag, and it never really felt like I had much to say, so I hadn't done it, but here we are. I'm in the mood to talk about some books that I don't want to read. So I'll link Tati's video below, and also Nicole and her books video, which is the original. Yeah, this is something a little bit different. I don't usually talk about books that I don't want to read, but also, you know, disclaimer, if you like any of these books, that's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to come for anyone's book tastes, it's just an opinion, you know. Yeah, so we're good. Yeah, cool. So the first question is a popular book that everyone seems to love, but I have zero interest in. Now this one, it took me a while to think of something because I buy into hype a lot. So generally if a lot of people love something, I'll be like, oh, I might give that a look. But then I ended up actually coming up with a couple of answers. So first of all, controversial, and as I said, I was actually tagged in this by Tati, and I know Tati is not going to like this, but it's Percy Jackson. I don't have any interest in Percy Jackson. I don't know, like, I love mythology, like, a lot, and I can see why people would be interested in them, I can see why people love them. And also, so I've never read them, but I saw the films when they first came out in the cinema. Like, I went with my mother and my sister to see them, and I really liked them. I know I'm in the minority, but like, they were entertaining films, and I'd never read the book, so I had no kind of prior expectations to be shot down, so I actually really liked them. But I just never got into the books. As I said, this isn't like, I don't have anything against it, but I just don't really, I don't gravitate towards kind of middle grade books. Not to say that, you know, they're bad or anything, they're just not really something I tend to go for. So I just don't think, I've been saying for years that I'll get around to it, but like, I just never do, and I just don't think that time will ever come. So I'm sorry to Tati, and also Mika, because my friend Mika also loves Percy Jackson. I'm sorry. Anyway, moving on. Another one that I kind of have zero interest in is Lord of the Rings. As we all know, I've been really into my fantasy in the last few months, and Lord of the Rings is obviously a classic. Everyone, you know, it's like one of the most famous series in the entire world. I just have zero interest in it. I'm not really a fan of classic fantasy, I don't think, you know, the like orcs and dragons and goblins and things. That doesn't do it for me really, so I don't think I'll ever read them. A lot of what puts me off is the writing and the like language. I think it's kind of putting me off a little bit too, because I feel like it's probably, again, I'm completely going off just my own like interpretation of what Lord of the Rings is. I haven't read them, so this could be completely wrong, but it's just like my mindset when it comes to these kinds of classic fantasy books, is they just seem kind of flowery and difficult to read. So I just don't think I'll ever get around to that. I've seen the films, they were fine. I watched them years ago, I don't remember them, but I don't think I'm ever gonna read that. And the other one I had was kind of random, and like, I don't think I have any friends or I know anyone who loves this series, but there's a lot of them, so I assume people love them, and that's the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, I think. I have so little interest in this. Generally, I'm not into urban fantasy in general, but honestly, I've just heard like such bad things about the way women are talked about and portrayed, and I just have no interest at all. It'll just make me angry. I just know. So question 2 is a classic book or author that I have zero interest in, and to be honest with you, I don't really have an answer for this. I don't read classic books. I don't have an interest in them. I don't have an interest in them. I do want to read some, just because I've never read any classics really. Like, even in school, Like, we didn't read very many books when I used to do English in school, which was a long time ago now. But, you know, we read A Christmas Carol, Of Mice and Men, Lord of the Flies, and like, that's it. Like, we didn't really read classic books or anything like that, so I don't know, I've just never really read any, so I don't have any, I don't know enough about the genre to pick out specific books or authors, because I don't know. I think I want to get around to reading a couple maybe this year to try and just give her a go, but as of right now, I just don't know. I just don't really have an interest in the genre in general. Number 3 is a problematic author that I have zero interest in reading from, and you know, the list just grows every day. You know, we've got the classics, really, you know, J.K. Rowling, no thank you, I'm not interested. There's Stephen King, I'm not interested in Stephen King's books, just the content in them just seems really sketchy, and yeah, like, no. Who else? There's too many to pick from, to be honest with you. There's Rainbow Rowell, there's Emily Duncan was one a couple of weeks ago, and that was a thing. Just not really interested in any of those, to be honest with you. Next is an author that I have read from, but I have decided is not for me, and I feel like everyone will all be able to join in and say this at the same time with me, because we all know what's coming. Cassandra Clare, everyone. Yes, you've guessed correctly, it's Cassandra Clare. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I do not like Cassandra Clare's books at all. I haven't read a single one that I've given above a 3-star. And even then, like, I feel like I gave maybe one of them a 3-star. I honestly can't remember, but like, that's the limit for me. Like, most of them have been 2s, or even I've given a couple of 1s. I don't like them. So if you don't know, if you haven't been around for a while, I do monthly live shows with my friends, and for the first, oh my god, how many months? A lot of months, we read through the whole Mortal Instruments series and the Infernal Devices series, and I really hated both of them. I thought they were the same story. I feel like she just regurgitates the same story every single time. The characters are all the same, the dynamics are all the same, everything is the same, and none of it's good. So Cassandra Clare is my answer for this question, because clearly we don't get on, we don't vibe. It doesn't happen. But I'm probably still going to read her other series, because I'm committed. I'm committed to my friends. And if I'm going to suffer, I'd rather it be with people that I love. So next is a genre that I have zero interest in, or I've tried to read and just couldn't get into. And to be honest with you, I will read pretty much anything. Like, I have my favourite genres, but if somebody was to like recommend me a book and like buy me a book, I would be like, okay, I'll give this a go. But generally, I think horror is probably the one that stands out to me the most, because it just doesn't appeal to me. I've never been a fan of horror films. I've never been a fan of anything that's scary. I don't like being scared. I've never understood the appeal of being scared. I don't know. It's not something I enjoy. So I don't know. I think I've only ever read, the closest thing to a horror book I've read that I can remember is Plain Bad Heroines, and I read that in February, and that wasn't like it wasn't particularly scary. I just don't think the genre is for me. I'm a little wimp. I don't like to be scared. So horror. Also, just like kind of literary fiction, I don't think is really for me. I prefer, you know, fantasy or romance, and just things. I don't like to think too much when I read a book, as silly as that probably sounds. Like, I like to think about the book, right? I don't read to learn, or like learn lessons or morals. So I think, yeah, maybe that could be one too. Next is a book I bought but will never read. And to be honest with you, I have a couple. If you saw my physical TBR video, which I'll link if you haven't seen it, my bottom shelf is just kind of filled with books that I don't have a place for, because I bought them years ago when I was interested in them. I never read them, and now I'm just really not interested. So like, for example, I have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I just don't think I'm ever going to read this. I bought this probably when I was about 15, and I think it was around when the film got announced. So the film wasn't out, but it was announced, and I was like, oh, I should read this, but here it is, completely brand spanking new, not being touched. And like, I have a bunch of those, you know, like I have the Uglies series by someone whose name I can't remember. Don't have an interest in reading that anymore. I have a couple of thrillers that I probably won't get around to because I don't really read thrillers too much anymore. I don't know, just I have this shelf at the bottom, which is just my junk shelf that I pretend doesn't exist. And I'm probably never going to read any of them, and I should probably unhaul them, but I have a problem and I don't like throwing things out. But I will, I promise. Next is a series I have no interest in or I DNF'd. So I don't tend to DNF things. I think I've only ever like DNF'd one book. Like I'm a power through kind of person. Like I will get through it. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty much the same with series. I don't tend to pick up series that I have no intention of finishing. Like, I don't know, I think I'm pretty good at judging if I will like a book or a series before I actually start it. And the only answer I have for you for a series I've DNF'd is After by Anna Todd. Because I read the first two books because I read them just before the second film came out, because look, the films are entertaining. They are absolute trash, but you watch them and you laugh. You're not meant to laugh, but you laugh, and it's just entertainment and it's great. But I was like, right, I'll read the books, because if the films are like bad entertaining, the books probably are too, right? No, they're just bad. They're not even entertaining, they're just bad. I read the first two, they sucked. Like so bad, and they're so long, and I just can't put myself through it. I really thought I was going to read it and it would be like the guilty pleasure kind of read where it's like, I know I shouldn't like this, but it's so easy to read and it's such trash, but like it's fun. No, it was not fun. It was painful, to be honest with you. Yes, it was quick to read. They're really long, but they're quick to read. That's literally because it's pretty much just been copy and pasted from Wattpad. Like there was no editing going on when this got published. It's just not good. It's just not good, to be honest with you. I don't think I have to say this because I feel like most people aren't interested, but I wouldn't recommend it. So there you go. And then the last question is a new release that I don't have any interest in. And this is one I kind of struggled with just purely because I suck at keeping up with new releases. Like I never know what's coming out when, unless it's like something that I'm really, really excited for, like the next book in a series or something. I'm really bad at keeping up with new releases. But the one book that I've seen promoted a lot recently is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I have no interest in this. If you watch my last video, I read The Martian back in March? April? March? Yeah, we'll go with March. I read The Martian and I did not enjoy it at all. I did not have a good time with it. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the characters. I could rant about this book for like a long ass time, but I won't waste your time. And also, if you want to watch the video, it's up there. I've seen this book hyped up a lot, you know, promoted a lot because people really love Andy Weir's writing, and that's absolutely fine. Again, I'm not here to shame anyone's book taste. I'm not here to say anybody's wrong. It's just not for me, and I just know I won't be picking this up. I don't think I'll read another Andy Weir book in my time. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, and that's all of the questions answered. I don't have anyone specific to tag, mainly because everyone I know has probably already done this, because I'm very late to the game as usual. But, you know, if you're watching this and you haven't done it, then I tag you. Thank you for watching this. This was kind of fun to go through and be like, right, what don't I like? Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun, and I will see you next time.